would offend his sense of honor. So Bub's not offended by
right.
that.
That's right.
Bub wants to win.
No. You got it. I'll take it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bub's Comics. We're here with the No Faces Comic Chat. Show hands. Hey. Yep, I guess I'm alone. I thought, there's a nice cool hand. A furry backhand. Yep, there it is. There's Roger. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Everybody in the chat. We've got an all-star lineup. I don't even know who's there. I'm just saying that. Today we're the Three Gun Kids. What do you think about that, Roger?
I like it. I actually do like it. I'm a big fan of the Two Gun Kids comics, so I like it. I really do like it. Yes.
What'd you think there, DS?
It's decent. I like it. That's it.
Well, that's all. That's the best we're gonna get.
I mean, I like
it's like asking.
I like the Two Gun Kid tie-in, but there's three of us, so it's the Three Gun Kid. So it's clever and it's cool. Yeah, I dig it. It's all right.
Thank you. It's like asking my 16-year-old son how his day was. It was decent.
That was faint praise if ever I've heard one there, Bub. Yeah.
Well, it takes a lot to impress me. I'm not impressed easily. The older I get, the less impressed I am by things, and I just start getting more and more curmudgeon-y.
Curmudgeon-y. Hey, I got a note from Roger today that said grumble, grumble. So I think he's starting to feel it too. You're wearing off on him.
Well, just in that particular moment. It was just that particular moment. That's all.
Well, when you get to our age, Bob, you'll start to see things a little bit differently the way we do. So, well, you're still young.
To be honest, I don't think you nor me are going to make it to Roger's age.
True.
Well, hold on a second. What does that mean? Hold on a second. Listen, you.
We're living hard, Roger. We're living hard.
Oh yeah, you two. Yeah, you two guys are smoking, eating, carousing all the time. Sure.
Oh yeah.
Sure, right.
So we got in the chat, we got Mr. Gretzky, Scott Neely, Unruly, Seawater, Pope Cerebus, Metarog, of course, Comic Collector, Man from Beantown, Nike Jam. I say Nike Jam. It might be Nike Jam, but I would assume it's Nike Jam. And we got Area 51, Mike in the house from Heroes to Icon, Knights of Old. Is Knights of Old named Mike also?
Yep.
Yes.
Is he also? There's a lot of Mikes in the community.
A lot of Mikes.
We got Unruly Simeon. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are awesome. Here already, rocking it. Of course, as soon as you start saying that, people go, hey, it's me too. I'm here. So we got Mac Daddy Austin saying, what up, Bubs? Whenever the roll call starts, everyone's like, hey, I'm here.
Hey.
Yeah, that's right. Exercise those fingers, everybody. Get to chatting. I am correct, Bub Nike Jam says. So it's Nike Jam.
Nike Jam.
There you go. Nike
251,
Jam.
251 maybe the area code. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
If it was 23, it'd be Jordan, right? So 251, Who knows what that is? 251 dunks on his sad opponents. That's what we got there. And Diaz Ruley says Diaz never too young to practice your crotchety old geezer skills. I think he's got that mastered there, Unruly.
Yeah, it's always good to be prepared, and I am being prepared to be old, so I'm working on my geezerness. Yeah.
You should not prepare to be old. It's going to happen anyway. So it's not something you have to prepare for, except, you have to eat healthy and exercise, things like that. But mentally, you're okay. You don't have to anticipate crotchetiness. It's just going to come. Don't worry.
I'll tell you, Roger, I've got the mind of a 10-year-old and the body of a, 40. I think I'm ahead of the curve on both.
Good.
So
good. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Oh my goodness. Well, let us know where you hid that body of the 40-year-old, and then you can owe me some money later. We got Chunky Monkey Comics and Cards.
Chunky Monkey, house. Love it.
Love it. Chunky Monkey Comics. It makes me think of ice cream probably more than anything. I think there's a Ben & Jerry's flavor called Chunky Monkey.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. That's definitely memorable.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get you a T-shirt, Roger, that says, I love Chunky Monkey. Do you want that?
Sure. I have to love. It's kind of like part of my faith, but yeah, that's included. Yeah,
I love everything.
yeah, I have to. It's like it's a requirement.
Like stuff, okay.
Yeah.
We got Steve Whiting in the house. Steve Whiting, I think he's part of that Florida mob, isn't he? The Florida Connection,
Florida crew. Yep.
Is that right?
I think he's down in
Florida. I think I've seen him on some. Yeah,
I think he lives over in Tampa.
He gets people talk. I know people talk about him a lot, so he must be pretty prolific in the community. But I don't know that we've ever really crossed paths too much. So that's cool to have him in there. Mac Daddy Austin, of course.
He's on every Saturday and
for joining us tonight
on other people's shows.
Yeah, I've seen him on shows. I definitely have seen him on shows, and I've commented on those shows. But I think that's all. That's all the crossing we've done. So good to have you here.
Maybe we can have him on
tonight
sometime.
Comic Collector says Florida's population is 78% of YouTube. That might be pretty close, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't know there were statistics on that. That's interesting. Nice job.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, probably 90% of everybody who buys comics from me lives in freaking California and Texas. Though I wish some East Coast people would buy from me.
Yeah, I hear that. I buy a lot from Oregon and Washington State. I'm like, are you kidding me? Priority, and it takes 8 days.
Yeah, I get a lot from Washington too.
Yeah, they're probably buying comics across the border in Canada.
Canada.
We got James Gallegos. Hello. Welcome. All right, guys. So here's the story. We were going to talk about multiple different sizes of comics. So if you're here for that and you're lucky, we may still get to that. It's just a little podcast. But as requested, and I won't say this was it was not an anonymous request. Say that once. It was not an anonymous request, but I will keep the identity of the requester secret, if that makes any sense. And so we'll just say that someone has asked us to discuss, even in slight briefness. Yeah, I think the Mickey Mouse is wanting to take credit for this. I see those white gloves. We're wanting to talk just a little bit about, well, he's probably wanting to talk a lot, but we're going to talk just a little bit about the Superman 1 that CGC reviewed video. So if you've already seen the countless videos that have already been done on this and the what I call nerd rage of the community. Oh, sorry. All right. 10 points to anyone that can tell me what my ringtone is.
It's a video game.
Right now?
Yep, it's a video game. I've heard it before too. Yeah.
Double Dragon.
Which one though?
Let's see if anybody in the chat knows it. Yeah.
All right.
I've definitely played that game.
So for everyone, that's what Jackson Roy Card calls it annoying. Well, welcome to the chat. You're officially banned. We got Castlevania. Nope, not Castlevania.
No, it's not Castlevania.
I'll take you one further. I'll give you not Pokemon. Let's see, Pac-Man, Asteroids. Nope.
All
right, I'll give you another hint. It's an arcade game, not a console game.
Soundtrack of Debbie Does Dallas. No, and Simi, get your.
I don't know. I've only. I don't know if that's correct. The soundtrack of Debbie Does Dallas. I've never seen that movie past the opening credits. So
never
it could
seen it myself either. But Yours Revenge. Yours Revenge.
Nope, not Yours Revenge. Not Yours Revenge. Though. That's good.
That's a nice guess. Yeah.
Who knows what's WJAS? Is that like a radio station in Cincinnati?
WGAS.
Oh. Probably Marvel Superheroes. Nope, but that's close.
That's close. Yeah.
That's close.
Galaga. Street Fighter?
Nope. No Donkey Kong. All right, this has gone on way too long. Wow. So what we're gonna do, we'll leave it up there. We'll just leave that 10 points hanging out there if anybody needs it. So what we're gonna do is we're going to watch the little video. Close, Seawood. X-Men vs. Street Fighter. That's close. X-Men, Children of the Atom. It is not that.
Oh, it isn't. Oh,
once again, close.
Thought it was it. Thought they got it.
Unless that's the full. Anyway, I don't know. Oh, no, I don't think that X-Men Children of the Atom, is that a fighting game?
Yeah, it's a beat 'em up. You know, it had Dazzler and Nightcrawler, Cyclops.
That's
Wolverine.
it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, the old X where you had 4 of them.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it's called either, but I know that's probably the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's the one it was. It's the old X-Men game.
Yeah,
X-Men Dallas. No, that's not it.
That was the very first thing I said was X-Men.
You didn't say it at all.
We'll rewind it and you can see I said X-Men, and then you went on and read all these other ones that were wrong, and I was right off the bat.
Hey, Bub, before
that's probably why no one else got it either then. All right, 10 points goes to DS pending review.
Hey, Bub, before we start, right, if you give me a minute. Give me a minute to say something here. Superpower Review is in the chat, and he is 17 away from 1,000. And if he gets to 1,000 before Friday, he doubles the prize of his contest. So I just wanted everybody in the chat know that if you're not subscribed to Superpower Review, please give him a sub, because he was supposed to be on with us, but he had to work a couple weeks ago, Bub.
The phrase you're looking for is he stood us up.
Okay.
So,
well,
yeah. Good luck.
Well, if somebody has to work, I mean, as important as this chat is, his priority. So please give him a sub. He didn't ask me to do this. We spoke today on Instagram, and I said that I would try to, get a little community love. Last Monday was the big one, in the live chat, but here we have a smaller version of that. So please, everybody, look, we got subs in there. Thanks, guys. You guys are the best. Bub, thank you for
and
a little bit of time.
I'll say something about Kevin too. When I first saw his channel, I did not subscribe to him. I was more picky on my subs back then anyway, but when I first saw his channel, I did not subscribe to him. And the reason that I didn't was because he was the first he was doing a product review, and his whole setup is in a professional studio, right?
Right.
Because I guess he works at one or has access to one. Right. So what happened was when I saw that, I was like, well, this is just some kind of shill review put out by a real company that's like doing, a fake viral video. You know what I mean? So I honestly did not subscribe to him because his production quality was so high that I assumed it was a fake review. Wow.
So he was too good.
So he was that good. So that's my point. He was so good at what he did that I thought he wasn't even real, and I didn't sub him up. And it wasn't until later that I realized that he was, when I checked out his subs and I saw the other videos he put out, I was like, oh, okay, he's just a regular guy. I was like, all right, well, I'll sub him up. So if you've happened upon his videos before and thought that yourself, you're missing out on some great content. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Yeah, I thought he was a Russian bot. Coronavirus. Oh, you guys are too much. All right, so here we go. We're gonna play this video here of this whatnot of CGC. So quick backstory on this. What this is this is off their Instagram page. So this is not all the stuff from other people's review and all that kind of crap. This is straight from their page. They've left this up, so they haven't taken it down. And in all their comments, they've done nothing but defend it as standard practice. So what you're about to see, because I don't want to play it more than once, what you're about to see is CGC's standard practice and agreed upon everything for how they grade a book.
Well, okay. This is how. So let me amend that before you go on. This was a thing where you can do at CGC now. You can bring a book up to the CGC counter, and they will sort of review it quickly for you and give you a grade estimate. And this is not the actual grading of the book, but this is a grader at the CGC desk looking over a book for somebody who may decide to submit it.
Right.
But that is how regular practice, how they handle the book according to them. But this isn't actually being graded, but this is a quick review of it, but whatever. Yeah. So.
Well, we can talk about that further. Yeah. I don't agree with your amendment 100%. So we'll talk about that further. I'm just setting up what they say this is. So according to see in the comments of this post that we're about to look at, they say that this is standard practice for grading and that this is their top grader in the building. This is the guy.
Yeah, I think this is Matt Nelson doing this.
Yes. All right. So let's take a look. I am sharing the so the sound of it all. I also want to mark the reason why I'm sharing the audio is because I also want to speak on that. And here we go.
Okay.
It's loading up.
Yeah, not working very well.
I don't know why.
What's the music?
All right.
What's the music?
All right. Again. So there's another way that I can do it. Huh? Yeah, it's just the music
CGC's
playing,
blocking
right?
the video, they say. Yeah, I just saw a blur or something. Yeah.
Way. And you won't hear the music this time, so I hope you remembered it. So you hear the music also a general idea of the mood, in my opinion, that CGC portray, which is to me, cool and sexy,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's see. Do you agree that that's kind of what it sounded like?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see if it'll play this time.
Put another quarter in that Commodore 64. That's a good one, Mike.
Yeah, for my private collection there, comic collector.
I'm still running 386.
I'll tell you what, if you want to make my screen big, I'll play it on my phone and hold it up to the screen, and that will probably show better.
Well, got the gist of it.
Well, you can't see anything on our video. It's so choppy. It looks like still frames.
Yeah, I think we can probably just talk about what happened there. I think most people have probably seen it anyway, so even I've seen it a few times. So
yeah, we can talk. I'll just hold it up on my screen while we talk.
Oh yeah, there it goes. There it goes.
Okay.
I'll just do this while we talk about it.
Yeah.
So basically, I know that a lot of people are, like I said, there's a lot of nerd rage going on. So I will give my quick take on it. Okay. And I know that not everyone is a big fan of CGC or, wants. Go ahead and play it again if it'll let you there, DS.
Yeah,
and I'll make you big.
I'll just hold this up.
Okay. So I know that we don't want to get into everything, just to speak on the caveats or the addendums that DS was making prior, is that to me, this is what I expect from a third-party grading company. Now you can say I expect more and it should be this or it should be that, but I do believe that this is what I expect. When I send a book to a grading company, I expect this to happen. I expect it to be handled. when CGC was on Reggie Collect's show, then it was Reggie Simmons IF BBS SF RFW X T800 Pro, if you remember that. But when they were on his show, they basically said that the maximum amount of time that they spend on a book is 11 seconds. That's the most time that they spend on a book grading it.
Wow.
At any grading level, that's the most time, and that the average is actually much lower than that. Now, I didn't count the seconds on this video. It's probably less than 11, but I'd say it's pretty close. And I think that realistically, I have worked in industries, different industries than I'm in currently, where I had to deal with the FDA, okay, the Food and Drug Administration organization, and all that good stuff. All right, DS, I'm taking it down. And one of the things that I saw is that I would tour facilities, clean room facilities, okay? So kind of like the kind of place that Lady Fantastic kind of works at, right? So I toured those facilities, I graded those facilities, and I made reports to the FDA. And in doing that, I can tell you that what people's perception of what a clean and approved space is and the reality are often very different. And I think that a lot of people expect things to be like all glass. I don't know if it's from movies or television shows, but they think it's like the way that a Coke lab was shown in the 90s, you know, on TV, where it's like nothing but masks and hair nets and clean tables and all white rooms with glass and plastic utensils, you know, the kind of thing that you would expect some high grade plutonium to be handled in. But that's not the case. When people talk about clean rooms and clean spaces, it's usually just a single spot that's very, very clean. And the rest of it is like warehouse looking, you know, and even clean rooms are inside of those types of buildings. And I think that when people envision these, what is that? DS, would you say that's probably a $500,000 book? You think that's out of?
No, that's not a $500,000 book. That's
I don't think that
like
much.
1.5. Incomplete is probably probably $50,000 or $60,000 book.
All right, that'll work.
Maybe less.
So we'll say on the DS scale, it's a $50,000 book. Okay. I think when people think about how a $50,000 book gets handled, they are going to expect that, first of all, people are wearing gloves, which I'm not a proponent of, but I think people expect that. I think they expect potentially some sort of utensil being used, some sort of soft utensil to be used to turn the pages. They expect a perfectly clean table necessarily. They expect a wide working area. They expect tons of light. They expect, you know, probably the guy wearing hairnet and a mask and everything is just perfectly perfect. He never folds the book or touches it with his corner, you know, holds it by the corner or roughly handles the book. That's what I think people expect. I don't expect that. I expect exactly what I just saw. I expect a dude sitting at a table, flipping through a book, flipping it over real quick, looking at both sides. There's no magnifying glasses. There's no, you know, black light, none of that stuff. I don't expect any of that stuff to happen. All I expect is that a dude flips through a book and gives his opinion of a grade, probably very quickly and with much less delicate hands than we would use. That's what I expect. So to me, what this video and the outrage to this video has demonstrated is that that's not what everyone else expects, or that's not what a lot of other people expect. So you guys go ahead and chime in. We're going to make DS go last because he requested the topic. So last word on it.
That's fine.
So Roger, what do you think when you see this? What goes through your mind, or what's your reaction to this?
Well, that was Matt Nelson, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So he's the head grader down there. Excuse me while I take a drink of water here. I'm kind of with Bub. That's kind of what I expected. Now, however, because of that, just because that's why I expected does not mean I approve of it. That's two different. That's a different dynamic altogether, right? When I saw that video, I saw that the bottom was creased, and he kept like flapping it with his when he was holding it. Did you see that, Bub and DS?
Yes.
Yeah. So, presumably exactly what made the crease initially.
You would think, right? That same pressure in that same area, right? So I'm not a professional. I've been in this hobby for 40 some years. And my comics, as you see, a lot of my older ones have been roughly treated because I was inexperienced, I was young, I was foolish, and I was just reading them the covers off of them. And that's fine. I mean, I was, 8 to, 12, 13. Okay. There's no expectation of you being careful at that point. Even if what we're saying is true, Bub, we're talking about a public area here with a Superman 1 who is worth 50,000, 100,000, whatever it may be. Okay.
$500,000, but yeah, go ahead.
Whatever it may be, right? It's a very rare comic. They don't fall off trees or anything like that, right? So if you are in a public area with that valuable a comic, and I didn't even see him look at the back cover, but maybe that happened before. I don't know. And you're being filmed. To me, it looks bad for them. It just does look bad. Even if that's the way they should do it, they should keep that a little bit closer to the vest. Certainly, even my older kind of beat up bronze comics, I don't treat them that harshly.
That's what Coon's saying right now. He's saying I'm bagging and boarding as I'm watching this, and I'm treating mid-grade 80s issues of Kazar with more care.
Right. I mean, I don't put pressure on the edges the way he did. I wouldn't flip it with my thumb, because if it's a brittle page, you could break that corner off just like that. I let the page, let gravity take the page over, and I spread, you know how it is, Bub, right? On DS. If you spread the area, the amount of impact over a wider area, there's less chance of that splitting or of that turning or of that damaging any area. So if you especially a comic which is, what is this, 1940 comic, I think, somewhere in there. So 80-year-old comic. All right. So that being said, yeah, they should have been more careful because they're under public scrutiny. This is their head grader. This is an expensive comic. And they put it on Instagram, and they're defending this to the end. They haven't taken it off. I think this is going to cost them some business because, as you said, I suspected this is the way it was done. But for them to advertise it like this, I think is a big, huge misstep.
Well, I think that's where the music comes in for me. And I know it's kind of an odd point to make, but to me, the music is setting the mood for the video. And it's trying to convey to me, at least the way that I took it, that I'm supposed to think, wow, look at how cool, calm, and collected this guy is flipping through this book. And it's like comic porn or something that, oh, man, this guy's so smooth with that book. He doesn't even care. It could be a bend. It could be a rip. But he's so good, and he's so talented, and he's so perfect at what he does that he is totally confident that he's not going to damage this book. And there he goes. So to me, it's definitely an advertisement. They're trying to advertise this method as being amazing and awe-inspiring, how confident they are in handling these books. And they pretty much say that in their response to everybody who's complaining that he's going through it too fast and he's handling it roughly. They're like, no, you don't understand. He's doing it because he's super confident, and all of CGC is super confident, and we haven't had any problems. And that right there, a bunch of people say, you haven't had any problems. Jeez. Like CGC's never damaged a book. Hold on.
Man.
Because for all the customers they have, I think I know quite a few that have had some books damaged. So, that's a little rough to take. So,
yeah,
but they're definitely defending it, and they're definitely using it as an advertisement, and it's been up for a couple of days, and it's still up. So
I know that's what I was saying. That and I think at some point, that it's the hubris of CGC is what the vibe is what I'm getting here. that they're defending this and that they're leaving it out there. I guess they figure if they take it off, it's sort of like condoning it or saying we're guilty of something. I suppose
when they had that Newton ring issue, several salty members of even the YouTube community, they attacked them over their Newton ring video, and they took that video down very quickly. But this video, they're weathering, and they're saying, no, everyone's wrong but us. So
right. Well, again, the hubris there is, I think, is what to me is the most frightening thing, because obviously I have no dog in this fight. You know me, Bub. I've only sent in one CGC book to be graded, and that's because I won a contest on the CGC forum for free grading. So I sent in my old Atomic Thunderbolt 1. I have never sent one in, for my own accord other than that one, and I never will, because my theory about that, right? So my opinion here matters much less than you two, because
I think it matters.
I have no, to me, it doesn't change my opinion, right? I mean, I knew that, or I figured something like this was going on, but to me, I don't value their opinion on a grade more than I do you and DS, for example. I just don't, because the ones I've seen over the years, and they've been in business over 20 years now, there have been such fluid grading, and sometimes they were tighter in the end, in the beginning, and then they're looser now, and then there was a middle part where pressing was like a taboo, and now it's like it's like second coming, so again, I don't value it in any shape or form myself, but seeing this video and people who are submitting things to them, and they are expecting a certain standard of care, and you see this, I mean, if I was somebody who had a valuable book, now a modern, big deal. You can do this to a modern. I don't think it's going to do much problem. But for a valuable book, old book like that, I'd never send it in. Never.
Yeah, from a PR standpoint, CGC makes some bad moves. They have good customer service. I like their product and their grading, and we're not going to get into the whole thing about that. But their PR leaves a lot to be desired. It's sort of like when you're a restaurant, you don't show how the food's being made. Do you know what I mean? You don't show when you're picking up trash or doing recycling. You don't show the landfills. Like, you don't show the behind the scenes, because nothing good can come of it. Do you know what I mean? So it was not a good decision from a PR standpoint forever at any time to show them grading a book or handling a book. It's always a PR disaster for them. They should never do that. Whether they're doing it properly or not doesn't matter, because it's how people will perceive it, and that's what PR is. And so it was a bad decision to do that. The owner of the book said he had no problem with it. I know who the owner is. He's a fairly well-known dealer and collector of comics, and he has a lot of high-end stuff. And he didn't have a problem with how it was handled. There was a lot of people on Instagram responding to it, and it was split. There were more seasoned collectors of Golden Age books defending it, and there were a lot of people who either don't collect Golden Age or are newer to the hobby, or are like me, which I'll explain in a second, who don't think that was a proper way to handle the book. Now, yes, the Golden Age paper is sturdier. Fine, I get that. And he's a professional. He does it all the time. I wouldn't expect myself to be able to flip through a book that efficiently and quickly, because I don't do it all the time, and he's a pro. I get that. But whenever you're going the faster you go on something, the more it increases your mistake percentage. For me, I go much slower than him. If I increase my speed, it'll increase my percentage of mistakes. At that speed he's going is a higher percentage of mistakes or problems or damage than if he were going at a slower speed. When you're flipping through a Golden Age book, it's not till the end of that video that we know all those pages were supple and they didn't have brittle edges or any type of issues. You don't know that when you're flipping through the book. I mean, Golden Age books have all sorts of edge and corner problems, and that corner crease on the cover, on the front cover, you can see bending more and more and more as he approaches the front of the book. Those are difficult on any book to deal with when they're hard creases like that, but especially on Golden Age books, those creases, sometimes if a corner is folded all the way over and you're going to press it and you have to pull that corner back into place to press it, if you don't even put moisture on it, sometimes it'll just break off. You know, moving that corner crease back and forth on that cover, it'll break off that corner. It'll tear. It'll snap. Yeah, that's not a proper way to handle the book at that speed, at that angle, putting pressure on the corners. Completely inappropriate, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm not a pro, but I do collect Golden Age, and I know how I handle my Golden Age books. I know how I want other people to handle my Golden Age books, and it's not like that. So I'm in the minority when it comes to the Golden Age collector's response to that. As far as the gloves issue, no, you can't wear gloves when you're going through a book, because you need to be able to feel the book and feel the paper, and you have more chance of doing damage with gloves on than without, because you can't.
I agree.
You can't feel. Yeah. Gloves are clumsy. If you are only ever doing page counts and flipping through books and reviewing them and grading them with gloves on, you're doing it riskier than if you did it with bare hands. You wash your hands on a regular basis if you're going to be doing a lot of books, like if you're a grader. But you know, I'll do a few at a time. I'll wash my hands. I'll let them dry. I'll review a couple books. If I feel like my hands are starting to stick, you know, from grime on the pages or just the oils, I'll rewash my hands and come back and do it again. But I don't wear gloves to look through books. I just keep my hands clean. And you can't flip through a book and grade it and look at it and page count with gloves on. It's very clumsy and hard to do, and you can damage a book that way. So I don't have a problem with the no gloves, but you can see the pressure he's putting on the corners and the speed he's going. Yes, it's 30-year paper, and in that case, it ended up being supple throughout. But that's a dangerous way to handle a Golden Age book, because the paper is not consistent throughout. A lot of times, some of the corners are brittle, or there's chips, or there's tears, or you're going fast enough you could catch something, and you notice halfway through one of the pages stuck together. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to encounter when you're flipping through a book from 1940. You know what I mean? So, or 1939. I can't remember which year Superman 1 is, but I don't think it was properly handled. The speed and the angle and the way he's turning through the pages is too quick and cavalier for me for a book. That would honestly be a more appropriate way to page count or flip through a book from like 1995. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Yeah. You're not going to have so many issues on a book from 95. You can go and the pages are still slick, and you can flip through it pretty quick that way, and it's fine. But also, that book doesn't lay flat now. I don't know if anybody noticed it, but it doesn't lay flat because he put so much pressure on that front cover corner that when he closed it, the corner was up a little bit. Yeah, it's not going to affect the grade. That's irrelevant. When you have damaged the book when now it goes from laying flat to not laying flat. You have increased the amount of defects on that book. In that case, is not going to affect the grade, fine. But, you know, you got a corner that's now not laying flat. They've added a defect to a Superman 1 by rough handling. So that's my view on it. I don't have a problem with the gloves, but the quick, cavalier sort of way of doing that, I have a problem with. But the last thing I'm going to say is that they say, 11, 12 seconds to grade a book. You can grade a book quick. I also don't have a problem with that. It doesn't take long to grade a book. They can flip through a book and grade it quick. And, you know, with the risk of offending some people here in the chat and on the paper, everybody on YouTube who's in these auctions and they're selling books and they're like, what's the grade on it? What do? They go like this. They look at the front. They flip it over. They look at the back. 9.0. Everybody's doing the same thing. You take in 10 seconds, you're grading the book for us. Everybody's doing the same thing. It doesn't take 5 minutes to grade a book, especially if you're a pro. You know what you're looking for. You can flip through a book in a few seconds and overall very quickly, if just, you know, usual common type defect. All right, then. You can
DS, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then, because that's an excellent point. And I totally agree with what you're saying, but I don't think CGC wants us to agree with what you're saying. No, and here's why. Why is it? I agree with you. Grading a book doesn't take much longer than 15, 20 seconds.
Right.
Because everybody does it all day long. They do it in 2 seconds, like you said, on YouTube auctions. But here's the thing. Why does it cost more for CGC to grade a Golden Age book than it costs them to grade a modern book? In my opinion, they're trying to say, because a book's a book, right? They're trying to say that they're going to take more time, care, and effort in grading, or for some reason it's more difficult to grade a golden age book than it is to grade a modern book. Otherwise, they're just taking your money for no reason.
Perhaps,
because it's the same case, it's the same label. You're not getting any other type of different thing. So I don't see a reason why they're charging more for a golden age book unless they're trying to say, well, we're grading these, more carefully. It's harder to grade a golden age book. It takes longer.
I don't have a problem with that either, though. It's the same reason an oil change for a Mercedes is more expensive than an oil change for a Hyundai. It does not take more work. It's just a more expensive car. The same reason you order a thin crust pizza, it costs more than the regular crust because it's just a more skillful thing to make. People who do pressing, they charge more to press high value or older books than they do to press moderns. It's the same pressing. I press books all the time of all eras. It's the same freaking process. It takes just as much time and it's just as easy or difficult for any book at any era, any value. It doesn't really matter. So what they're really doing, and I wish everybody would just be honest about it, they're charging more for high value property services than they are for lower value property services. And that's just the way of the free market. You take your Lexus in for an oil change, it costs more than you take your beat up Toyota from 1985 for an oil change. It doesn't take more time to do the oil change. It's the same amount of oil. It's another shaped filter. It's because the property is worth more. That's why. So whatever CGC says or anybody else says, that's the reason. Things that are worth more, people charge more to service them. That's it. And people who press do that too. They charge more to press golden age than they do to press modern. I press all of them, and it's the same process on the same press with the same backing boards, and you just change the heat. But I mean, it's so that's my view on that, and that's why everywhere in the world, in America anyway, for anything, it just costs more if the thing is worth more. That's all. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Well, there's more liability too if it's a more expensive and older book. I understand that.
Yeah, but they're already charging you more for insurance on those books' values already. So I would agree with you.
I agree with you, Bub. I agree with you, Bub. The expectation, I think, is because especially since they have more pages and they're ostensibly more fragile or possibly more fragile, you would think they would take more time and they would be more careful, do a little more research.
Yeah, it would make more sense if they would charge based on the size of the book, like a 100-page book versus a 24-page book. They would charge more, but they don't do that because you can have a modern 100-page giant issue, special anniversary issue that is the same as a 24-page issue. So they don't go on the size of the book. They go on the age and the value of the book. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, like I said, taking Mercedes in for oil change, it costs more. Why? Yeah. Why does that cost more, Bub? Why does it cost more to get an oil change for Mercedes?
You're right. Yeah, it costs more because they know they can get more from you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the hobby and
we can afford it
in a vacuum, but I mean, it's a business, and all businesses do that. I mean, it's not.
What they don't do? They don't take you inside the Mercedes service department and show some 5-year-old kid pulling off your oil plug, and that's basically what CGC just did.
Yeah, I don't think they should be showing. They shouldn't be showing the behind the scenes of stuff like that because number one, people who don't understand it are going to be a very vocal minority and with ignorance to some degree, but it's not going to help their cause no matter how ignorant or uninformed people are if they're crying foul, and that's what most people are hearing. And it becomes like a scandal, like Superman 1 gate type thing on that video.
I think let's talk about long-term effects here. I don't think that things could always come at a worse time. But I really feel like every time I watch an unboxing, it seems, from CGC, the grades vary wildly. They seem to be increasing in inaccuracy.
Well, yeah, but you're saying that as an untrained amateur non-pro. I mean,
no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when someone turns in the same book 3 times and get 3 different grades, that's not right.
No, that's not happening, man. It's accurate. They're accurate and they're fairly consistent. I mean, they're about as consistent as it's going to get.
That's fine. DS, then what you're saying is that you, as a CGC customer, a CGC purchaser, and a CGC, former CGC apologist and perhaps a revived career, that for you, that's fine. But see, we don't have to agree on this point.
You're right.
Because we're both customers of CGC and we're both potential future customers of CGC. So we don't have to agree. Because if we disagree, that's still 50% of the people, if it's just you and I, that have watched this video have lost some more faith in CGC.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be that we agree on this. I'm saying from my personal experience in sending in books, I know for a fact that I've got 2 books that were misgraded or mislabeled. So that's plenty for me to not have confidence in their abilities. Then, in all of their abilities, in the perfection of this process. Then I watched another stream, and again, if you go for the long haul, no. But I feel like recently it's gotten worse. Then I watched another stream the other night where somebody showed 3 books that they turned in for on-site grading after they had already been graded by CGC recently, and all they did was crack the slab right before they got there, turned it in for on-site, and got a grade bump on all 3 books, including a page color change. Now, all I'm saying, and you can say, oh, well, on-site grading is a little looser and they're a little faster. And if CGC is making no distinction in their product, then we shouldn't either. It's not like they promote, hey, go to on-site grading, instant grade bumps, you'll love us. They're not saying that. So if they're not making a distinction in the product, then we can't either. And so I just feel like lately it seems like they're getting more wrong, and they're going faster, and they're making more mistakes. And to have this thrown on top to show how mistakes can be made, I think it's bad timing, and I think it hurts them long term.
Yeah, it definitely does. And when people are cracking 9.6s and in old labels and resubbing them, and some of them are coming back 9.8s. Nobody's cracking 9.8s, but if people were cracking 9.8s and resubbing them, some of them would come back 9.6.
I agree.
On-site it's not a looser grading, but they have such a high volume of books that they have to get through so quick. I don't think it's a good idea for them to take an unlimited amount of submissions on the first day, because what it does is they have to go so fast they miss things. On-site is not up to their standards of grading because they are having to go so quickly and they can miss things. And I think that does happen on-site. I don't think they should I think they should cut back the number they take on on-site is what I would do. But it's money. I understand. I think it's a mistake for them to do that. The mistake, they make mistakes. I think, they make a lot of mistakes, more than they should. If I was running that company, that would be a major area of focus. And maybe it is with them. I don't know. I don't work there. But if I were running that place, that would be at the top of my list, would be, tightening up on the mistakes. A lot of the mistakes, or I think a majority of the mistakes that are happening are on modern books, because they have so many moderns flooding into CGC every day. I submit Golden Age books, and I hardly ever see, I can't remember ever seeing a mistake on a label in a Golden Age book. But they do happen as you get into the modern stuff, because they have the lesser experienced graders handling a heavy volume of essentially near mint books nonstop all day, 5 days a week. Mistakes are made. When you get back to the Golden Age, you have the more senior, the high level books, the Golden Age stuff, Silver Age, Big Keys. You have the more senior graders going over those and sort of supervising that, and there's fewer mistakes being made. So I think if I was running CGC, the problem is the volume of books that they're cranking out. They have to go so fast, and I don't know how to change that other than to maybe break off in 2 divisions and have a division that only does silver and gold, and then have a division that does bronze and modern, and then try to have 2 separate companies and have a lot more people. I don't have the answer to a lot of this. They make a lot of mistakes. I'm not a CGC apologist. I like CGC. I think their grades are not 100% consistent, but they are for the most part accurate. And when somebody on YouTube who doesn't know anything about grading, or is an amateur in the hobby, not a professional grader, is saying that stuff's graded wrong, this is undergraded, they missed this, whatever, that doesn't carry a lot of weight with me, because you got a bunch of amateurs questioning the grades of pros, and I think they're more consistent than most people think, but less consistent than they should be, if that makes sense. But I'm generally happy with their product, and their grades are I think their grades are pretty spot on most of the time. I can think of 2 books in the last year out of the 120 to 150 that I've submitted, 2 that I have an issue with the grades. And so I'll defer to them because I'm not a pro, so maybe I missed something on the book is probably the most likely explanation, but I don't know. So I'm done rambling for the moment.
For the moment.
Actually, if we need more. Look, I'm not trying to say that every time I submit a book or anyone else does, and they expect to get a 9.2 and they get a 9.4, that they're not happy about it. I think that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is that people like to get higher grades. So as a company, the more they can push that envelope, the better. But if you're getting things wrong, and it's obviously wrong to not only the person who sent it in, but say someone who's potentially buying the book, then it hurts the overall product. Because and I don't care, I won't say I don't care. I'll listen to what other people have to say about the matter, but I'm pretty sure for myself that the only real product that CGC has is the grade. Okay? Because the encapsulation doesn't prevent moisture, it doesn't prevent light, and those are the 2 biggest enemies to books.
Yeah, but their slab is what gives them such a huge advantage over CBCS.
The case is just a frame.
I know, but that's massive for a piece of art. That is the only other thing. There's the art and there's the frame. You know
okay, fine. So what they're selling is a case, which, depending on who you ask, they like other cases. I think they have the best case, but some people don't. Some people prefer CBCS case and other types of cases. Okay, cases that potentially can be reopened and so you can still use the book as well. So, and read the book. So yes, I think the case is debatable, but it's definitely one thing that they're selling. And the other thing is the grade. And I think the accuracy of the grade is to me their only proprietary product. This is what they've got. It's a CGC grade. And the more that you damage the reputation of the grade, the looser you are with the grade, the more you give higher grades just to make people happy, it seems, or because you're rushing through, there can be a perception that, well, they just didn't grade it carefully because they went too fast. And then you put a video out where you see someone rushing through a book that they have no business rushing through just from a historical standpoint. From a value standpoint, they have no business rushing through that book. It really takes the air out of the sails, I think, of a lot of people who are very interested in getting that grade from CGC and being able to bank that it's a solid grade. And it also takes the wind out of the sails, I think, when you have these high grades, that when you actually get the book, you bought a 9.8 from somebody and you get the book in hand, you're like, this is like a 9.6 at best, or 9.4 or 9.2. I mean, it's easy to knock a book that really isn't a 9.8. That's a lot easier. And you see 3 or 4 flaws on a book and it's labeled a 9.8. You don't have to be an expert grader. You can be one of those amateur graders that you're talking about and notice that this book doesn't deserve a 9.8. And so that hurts the resale value of that book, because it hurts the confidence in CGC of putting that grade on there. It hurts the buyer's confidence now. Because when I see a CGC book, I know that book, even though it has a grade on it, is less reliable now than what I thought it would be.
Yeah, so the modern grading that they do, the 9.8 part of this hobby with the modern era books with 9.8, that is causing so many problems with CGC's reputation or PR. Most of it stems from the volume. I mean, what's the turnaround on modern modern and value? The turnarounds on those are high all the time, and everybody wants a 9.8, and it's the 9.8s and the modern volume of books. That's where a lot of the problems stem from. When I send in gold, I don't have any problems with the turnaround times, with the grades. I'm not looking for 9.8s, and the problems don't exist as much in the golden age slabbing area as they do in the modern 9.8 chase of this hobby. So I don't know. They're definitely they have some issues for sure. But you know, as long as their case is so much better than CBCS's case, then yeah, it's important to have a nice frame for your art. People want that good, rock solid, sturdy, beautiful CGC case on their book, and not that flimsy CBCS one. It looks like it's, you know, it's not as good. That really makes a huge difference. If CBCS had a case that was as good as CGC's, there would be a dog race in this hobby between the two.
I agree. And Chad RCG is making a very good point.
Yeah,
he's saying, you know, that people don't want to talk about it because it devalues everyone's books. And this is something I'm going to say, and I hope I don't offend anybody with this, not because it's not true, just because I don't like people to get their feelings hurt. But but you know, bottom line is that there are more and more young people joining the hobby. Okay. You guys have noticed this. There's a lot of 20 to 30-year-olds out there that are throwing books at CGC as fast as they can get them there. There's speculators out there, you know, at that age even. And there's tons of books getting thrown at CGC from this younger demographic, okay? And it seems to me, you know, Chad's making a very good point that people don't want to talk about it. Well, DS doesn't want to talk about it necessarily.
Oh, because he's all day.
Well, you know what I mean.
Oh, DS,
I mean,
talk about it.
Someone who's buying books, cleaning books, pressing books, and sending them in because they know that on a big book that every 0.5 of a grade means hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So it's very important. It's almost like a lifeblood livelihood. And so there's a lot of people that are not going to want to discuss, you know, overgrading or things like that, because if you take away the rock solid reputation of CGC off that grade, it does devalue the product. How do we know? Because a very, very, very similar conditioned book, raw, will sell for less. Why? Because the assumption is that the grade is accurate. And people like the case, sure. But if we're not talking about a $30 difference between a graded 5.0 and an ungraded 5.0, sometimes we're talking a couple of $100 difference or more. So I think that what we're seeing with the younger people submitting is that they're looking at it less. They're not really flipping books the way like DS and his cohorts are, right? They're kind of just pumping into their collection. So when they send in a book that they feel is a 9.4 or a 9.6 and it comes back a 9.8, they're not like, yes, CGC got it right. They're like, hey, look what I just got. Like, aren't I lucky? And I just got a 9.8 that was really a 9.6, and yay, you know. And they're so excited that they're kind of showing their hand a little bit too much. And yes, if you want to, you know, you guys have seen the books that I've got back from CGC. I've got one that's got a puncture hole through the entire book, came back a 9.6. I showed it. I said, hey, this is a 9.6. You know, it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, what book is that?
Crack it out and get rid of that case. I'm like, why? I bought it for the case.
What
you
know?
Huh?
What book is that?
That's my New Mutants 98. It's got a hole through the entire book, and I got a 9.6.
No, I mean, you get these modern books going in, and they're going through so many. They're making more mistakes on moderns than anywhere else.
I've got that Daredevil one with a married back cover. Came back with a blue label.
Yep, and that was on site.
On site. Yeah.
On site. Well, I don't care if it's on site or not, unless they're going to tell me that it's a different product. But they don't. They say you're getting the same product, whether it's on site or mail-in submission.
Right.
If they're not making the distinction, I'm not making the distinction. And when I sell this book, which I'm not going to, but if I was going to sell that book, you think I have to stipulate CGC 1.0? Oh, but it was on site, so you can't trust it. No one's going to put that in a listing. So,
nope.
You know, so I just feel like the more mistakes you make, it will eventually get to the end buyer. And a lot of these, and I hate to say it's younger guys only, but it just seems like when I see people bragging about it more than having concern about it, then it tends to be the younger guys, you know? And it's like, well, they don't realize, they're not thinking long term. They're not looking at it that later on this could hurt the product. They're just excited because they got something that they think is worth more.
Yeah, I think where we're looking at maybe a decade to two down the road with slabs is Where this is going to be hurt the most is modern era 9.8s. That's where most of the value is going to be hurt, because I think at some point people are going to start looking at 9.4, 9.6, 9.8 as pretty much the same. They're not going to have a huge discrepancy in value between 9.8 and 9.6 like they do now. I think that's going to evaporate over time. I think there's going to be virtually no effect of any of this on golden age slabs, like a 4.0. You know, it's a 4.0. It's not like this was a 9.8 or a 9.6. 4.0. I mean, it's a 4.0. It's always going to be a 4.0. It's not going to have any effect on the value of these, really. But I'm telling you, the 9.8, the modern 9.8 market is very tenuous, because I've talked about this before. If you have 2 raw books, if you just take yourself out of the hobby, remove your perspective from the hobby, and just be a person on the earth looking at 2 stacks of paper stapled together. If you are looking at something that's an 8.0 range raw and something that's a 9.8 range raw, they are essentially both mint books. There's not much difference between an 8.0 and a 9.8 in realistic terms in the world. Now, in the hobby, there's a huge difference, but it's not a great reach to see an 8.0 and a 9.8 being almost equivalent in condition. There's not much difference between the two, just from a common sense standpoint. Then you get up into the 9s, 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, 9.8. I mean, what's the distinction? The only distinction is what's on the CGC slab, and a 9.8 is going for 2 to 3 to 4 times what a 9.6 is. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It does right now, but I think it doesn't make a whole lot of sense going forward that 9.8s are going to maintain that price gap or that value gap over 9.6s and 9.4s. I think that gap in value is going to evaporate going forward. You'll still, 9.8 is still going to be the best, a mint copy, but people are going to recognize that a 9.6 is essentially a mint copy too. So I think a 9.8 will always be worth more, but the gap's going to shrink. And a lot of the stuff that's going on with the on-site and mistakes being made and the volume that they're grading and stuff, that's going to have an effect on that. That's where I think the effect.
Well, let me ask you this. You're mentioning something very, very well. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that there's a distinction that needs to be made, because if you're saying that the gap between the value of a 9.6 and a 9.8 will close, are you saying that they will close equidistant to a mean? Or are you saying that the value of the 9.6 will rise all the way up to a 9.8, or the value of a 9.8 will drop all the way down to a 9.6?
For instance, if there's a 9.8 that's worth 1,000 and the 9.6 is worth 500, I could see a situation where the 9.8 is worth 800 and the 9.6 is worth 700. There might be a little extra on top, but I don't think there's going to be that super awesome premium for a 9.8, because
right.
When you get at a certain time distance ahead, when you look back on an era of modern books that is now approaching 30 years worth of essentially expected 9.8s in the market. If you go from year 2000 to now, it's essentially 9.8 or bust for books. And, we're talking 20-year span. You're starting to get a massive span of time where every book is available in a 9.8, and lots of them are in 9.8. There's no books from the 2000s that you can't easily find on eBay in 9.8.
That's true.
And in 9.6. I mean, they're all super high grade. At a certain point, you just have so many books over such a long time being so high grade. I don't think the 9.8, 9.6 distinction is really going to make that much difference anymore. It's just everything's just going to be mint. And, 8.0 will be worth less, but a 9.6, 9.8, that's going to be it. It's going to be 9.6s and 9.8s are going to be essentially the same, maybe a little extra for a 9.8, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Well, I think it matters what you're saying, because essentially you're predicting a sharp decline in the value or the perceived value or the market value even of a 9.8. You're also citing a smaller but significant incline in the 9.6 value, but the more significant hurt or heartburn for the comic community or collector will be to see the 9.8 drop in value.
Yeah. So, when you have Copper Age books starting to become 30, 40, 50, 60 years old books now, those sort of fall back into now being the vintage books. And then the newer sort of stuff, it's all 9.6s and 9.8s, and there's tons of them out there. It's right now they're sort of, the newer books are sort of mixing with copper age stuff, some maybe a little late bronze, some copper age stuff, some early 90s stuff, where there are not quite enough 9.8s to go around. But that's going to fall off into the vintage area soon. And then all the books being compared in this grouping will all just be, everything's in 9.8 and 9.6. There's not going to be much distinction anymore, because right now you can compare, you know, ASM 252 with a modern book when somebody's collecting 9.8s. But when the 252 falls back and starts becoming a vintage book, and it's you know, so old now, it's not, I don't know how to exactly put it, but not the modern 9.8s have a lot of value because they are still being grouped in with some of the older stuff where 9.8 is still really cool to have. But they're not going to be in the same group forever, because pretty soon you're going to have a 30, 40 year span of all books that everything's in 9.8 and 9.6.
Yeah, I think the other issue that you're going to encounter are that, and honestly, I think the slab wear will be a bigger issue. You know, all these 9.8s, and everyone's jumping for joy that they've got all this, you know, 9.8 crap. Well, how many of these 9.8s are going to be left out in the sun or displayed and all, you know, too much, if you will? How many of these 9.8s are going to encounter some water damage and they're still in the case? You know, how many of these 9.8s are going to have completely scratched or cracked cases? I mean, right now there's a pretty low frequency of that, but they're out there. There's some 9.8s with cracked, and of course they fetch a lower price.
Yeah.
Because you don't know once it gets regraded if it's going to get that back, you know, get the 9.8 after whatever has befallen it.
You know what else? So, also, there's, you know, 9.9s and 10s. They're common now. It's actually a common thing. I mean, you look like Batman Damned on the census. There's like, I don't know, probably 200 9.9s. I mean, there's 9.9s and 10s left and right in this hobby now for books. And so a 9.8 third best on a lot of these books. And everything is getting submitted right away, pressed, and everything's getting 9.8s, 9.9s. I mean, it's not. I think stuff that's going to be more important is centering, color strikes, particular production defect not being present. There's going to be other factors people are going to look at, because it's just going to be like 9.8 fatigue almost. You know, I'm not talking next year. I'm talking maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yeah, I think that's what Chad was saying here, that 9.8 becoming the norm is not this great thing. He says he has to have it, but better than a 9.48, or he's not buying it. So the needle could be moving beyond the standard, above the standard. And if that's the case, if they're moving the needle above the standard, then you got a whole nother dynamic, because that 9.8 that is the standard today will be second or third best in 10 years.
Yeah, and you know, there's collectors like the boy who had 7. He loves we have a lot of OCD. So for him, he likes 9.8 white pages, and he likes everything 9.8 white pages. I totally get that. You know, I think Comic Books NYC has a selection of copper keys in 9.6 white pages. And when he's picking up a new one, he wants a 9.6. He doesn't want the 9.8 because he wants a 9.6 to match the other 9.6s. You know, it gets to a point where you want 9.6s or 9.8s. It's not going to be that much of a difference. There's going to be lots of 9.9s, but pretty much everything is super mint anymore. It's not a rare thing. It's just like sort of like near mint plus fatigue, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Well, all I can say is that for me in my house, right, I had 2 submissions set ready to go, and I don't think I'm going to send them. So, you know, we can talk about the perceptions and other people's beliefs, but I know that it made an effect on me, in that it wasn't a new thing, but it was kind of a last straw kind of thing.
Right.
For me, I don't trust the grades. I don't trust them to handle my book properly. I never really did, but after getting shown behind the curtain, it's one thing to assume. I always assumed that they handled books roughly, honestly, because I've heard too many covers getting split. I've heard too many problems in the encapsulation machine. I've had mistakes come my way. So I already assumed that they were handling them roughly, but to see them handle one roughly, that was a bigger book than probably I'll ever send in. And to see the pride that they had in that that made me lose confidence in them. And honestly, when I came home today, I was this close to cracking slabs, much less sending anything in.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, I've been doing that for years. Now you're coming back into the fold.
Well, there's some people like to eat the hamburger, but it doesn't necessarily mean they want to see how the cow is slaughtered and see how.
That's right. That's right.
We don't want to see the slaughter and the processing. We just want the burger.
That's right.
And
That's true.
BGC
Good point.
is showing us the processing and the slaughter is not going over well, and they should not do that. It should just be behind the scenes that they don't show. And I know they want to show a guy flipping through confidently of a Superman 1 at C2, E2. And for them,
corn track playing in the background.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be like a positive PR, like, hey, we're at C2E2 checking out massive books, but it has the opposite effect, and their PR needs some work, in my opinion. But their product and their service is good, but could be improved. But it's good. It's not crashing and burning. The PR is crashing and burning. The product and service is decent, but there's room to improve. And hopefully CBCS gets a really good case. And then, Steve Borak, who owns CBCS, his PR is on point. Every time I see him or something from that company, he understands PR. CGC does not.
He used to work there.
And they're hooking up with Beckett's, I think, helped their credibility as well.
Plus, Steve Borak, if you ever hear Steve Borak talk, he's been interviewed numerous times over the years, and he's, spoken, and you can read articles or whatever. I mean, if you're familiar with Steve Borak, he's a straight shooter. He's got a good sense of the market, the customers, PR. He knows what to say and how to say it. He doesn't say the wrong thing or show the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. CGC is sort of, a little full of themselves, and they think they can just strut around and show anything. And a lot of time it turns people off when they do that. Steve Borak is much more deliberate and wise about PR than CGC is. And the only thing holding CBCS back is that holder. Honestly, it sucks. Their holder sucks. I know he thinks it's decent and it's got all these good features. It sucks, but he's not going to come out and say it, but he knows it sucks. The CGC holder is awesome. There's a huge disparity between the two, and until that gap closes, CGC will own the market. CBCS can put a hurt on CGC if they just get their holder game together, because it is important to have a good frame for your art. It's important. The grade counts. Yes, I like to have it professionally graded, but I like a nice frame for my art.
Yep, I'm with you.
Hey, Bub, Silver Age Dave is asking if you have any trips planned in March.
I do, Dave. I'll see you in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, or how is it? 2 weeks? I think it'll be in 3 weekends. I don't know how to do it. It's less than 3 weeks.
I think he just wanted to confirm that you're still going over there to the what is it, Fantasy Con? What is it called over there?
Toledo Fantasticon, I believe it is.
Fantasticon. 2 weeks. He says 2 weeks. Yeah, not bad.
Who was asking? Who was asking about different sizes of books? Just so you know, we're gonna go back and change the fact that they don't grade different sizes of books. As far as CBCS, I think he's talking about, and also PGX as well. But speaking of different sizes of books, that was our topic for tonight. Obviously, we didn't get to it. Yeah. We'll move that to next week, so don't be surprised if you see next week's topic the same as this week's topic. No, you're not seeing double. Well, I just too lazy to come up with a second topic for next week. So
I want to say about size of the books, we can revisit it, but there is nothing, if you don't have Golden Age books, there is nothing like having wall-to-wall book in your slab where it completely fills the slab.
I agree.
Nothing like it. That is so awesome. Wall-to-wall book. No blank spaces on these big Golden Age books.
I agree.
And they grade the magazine size ones too, and CBS,
and they'll grade your concert poster. They don't care.
Concert poster, cover, interior page, whatever. Yep.
Unfortunately, if you send them a concert poster in a rolled tube, they're going to take it out and they're going to press it into a square, and they're going to fold it and then put it in a shopping bag and carry it upstairs and then dump it out into the table and then put rocks on every corner before they grade.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
video coming out from CGC with some sexy music in the background.
Well, here's a little nugget you'll appreciate. I have an original Tron movie poster framed in this room, and it was slightly too big for the frame, so I actually trimmed one edge of it.
Oh.
Yep.
Sacrilege.
Well, apparently it's not sacrilege in the movie poster industry or the hobby. That's apparently not sacrilege in comics. But I felt bad doing it. But it's one piece of paper I need framed. It doesn't. I don't want to fold it. There was nothing else to do, so I cut the edge.
Oh man.
Yeah, I just trimmed. I only had to trim like an 1/8 inch off, but whatever. I did it.
Nice. Well, we won't hold it against you. Yeah, it is just a Tron poster after all. Which I love Tron.
Hey, I saw that movie first day. All right.
Hey, check this out. You guys like that? Look at that.
Hey, there you go. But Light Cycle. That's from the second movie, though, right? That's from the.
I knew you'd say something, Roger.
Well, it is. I mean, the Light Cycle.
Does that make you happier?
All right, there we go.
That's an original there.
Is that Tron or is that Flynn?
That's Tron. You see the little D in his chest?
Oh yeah. Okay, I see it.
Does he have the frisbee?
Did you know that cool. The Tron symbol? Did you know that that's what that was? The T?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Yeah, there you go.
Is there a frisbee on the back?
Yep.
He has the information disc. Yeah,
he does.
Nice.
Can he throw it?
Sure. Oh,
not the disc, not Tron. Jeez.
I did the best I could. Roger.
I don't know how you survived, slave. Oh man.
Well, I think we've done it again, you guys. We've talked everyone's heads off. We haven't shown our heads doing it, and that sounds like a successful No Faces comic chat. What do you think?
Yeah. We showed our hands.
I know. Let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. What have you got going on? This is the part where everyone leaves. So see you next week. No Faces comic chat. So quickly, DS, what do you got going on in your channel? Hurry.
On my channel, I uploaded a video today. I'm on 6th part of my $100 Grail series. Changing it up a little bit, having some results, got new stuff coming back, so that's moving along forward pretty good. Other than that, I am still using CGC, and I have another submission I just sent in. I've got another submission ready to go tomorrow, and yeah, I'm still submitting books. I still have unboxings coming. I have some cool content coming up on my channel. So yeah, I sent an ASM3 in. It was a 4.5, and I cleaned it up and pressed it. I'm hoping to get a half grade bump on that. So that's there now.
Nice.
We'll see.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
A whole half grade. We're looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, a half grade on ASM3, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's big time right there. What about you, Roger? What do you got, Roger? Got anything? First of all, Roger wants you to tell everybody, sub everybody.
I already did that several times.
Oh, okay.
I already did that several times. They are doing it. I want to try to change the culture so that we do that, so that when you run across somebody you don't know, you sub them up, you give them a chance, give them a little love. They do the same for you. We all win. All right. So off my soapbox. Tomorrow I will have a big haul video. I don't know if you remember during the live stream that I asked Lawrence when he showed those boxes that I wanted one.
Yes.
And right. So I got it.
Of course I remember.
Okay, I got it. I mean, we talked the next day about, he has my want list and all that. But anyway, so I got that. And I also got some comics from Tony Toth that you guys are going to want to see because they are spectacular.
I like Tony Toth. Great channel. Great man.
Yeah.
He's got a great collection of books, and he's been collecting for a long time, too.
Long time. Longer than I have. So that tells you something, right? And I think, Bub, you and I are going to be in an auction sometime this weekend, I think. But Kenny hasn't said
potentially
exactly when. Potentially, right.
Yeah, we don't have details, and actually, I just had a little hiccup in my schedule, so I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see.
Okay, and then of course Thursday is the roundup. Everybody knows about that. All the contests. There's already like 4 new ones that people have sent me, so there's more stuff to support. I'm out. That's it.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm trying to be brief, you know.
Yeah, chop chop and all that.
Chop chop
whoosh,
and all
whoosh,
that.
and all
Rough,
that
rough,
sort of
rough,
thing.
rough. Yeah.
Yeah, rough, rough. Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. So I don't know.
Jackson Roy Kirk, listen to this. Roger's got me so scared. I sub up people I meet on the street. Oh,
that's about right.
That's clever. Well, let me tell you, if that's the case, I am just ecstatic if that's the case, because we need to support each other. That's very important.
I love it. Well, that's cool. I don't really have anything going on. Well, tonight I'm going to be on Comigories, so check Matt, the boy who had 7, out for that. Send me some great. I think I still have a championship title. I think it's on the line tonight, actually, floating around there somewhere.
Oh,
I think so. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with it. Sure, the reigning champ makes his return to Comigories tonight. So if you like winners, vote for me. I obviously vote for the best book, but that won't be a problem because that'll be my book. And then other than that,
playing the room.
Actually,
playing the room.
I know. I'm going to try and do a couple of statue reviews. Whoa. Some limited edition statues. And I know that typically my toy reviews and my statue reviews on my channel don't get a lot of viewership, but I'd rather just be upfront with it and say, hey, I'm reviewing a statue, and make a big statue thumbnail out of it. And if anybody wants to watch it, they can. If they don't, they don't. But usually I get about a third of the views in those statue reviews. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, just hauls and such. And I got 2 cons in the month of March. So I won't be showing a lot of books here for the next couple of weeks because I'm going to try not to buy anything. That being said, I have 2 grails in the mail on the way. One of them is a super hard to find book. I won't say what it is because I don't want to jinx it. It's supposed to come Wednesday, but I put an alert on it 2 years ago on eBay. This book hasn't been for sale in 2 years on eBay.
Wow.
And it popped up and I bought it as soon as the alert came through. I rushed through. I bought it before. DS would have cringed. I bought it so fast. I didn't check the seller. I didn't check how they were shipping it. I don't know what the seller's review rating was. I just plowed through it as fast as I could and checked out.
Yeah, nothing
because it was amazing.
I pulled the trigger a lot of times.
Oh man, I was so fast. But I've learned a lot of patience from you, DS, over the years, and I definitely did not use it this time. I mean, I went super. I was so excited, and I bought it, and it was a great, amazing price. So like the guy had it was in a lot of books, so I got super lucky. It was buried in a lot, and got really lucky that it was even listed in a way that eBay could find it and send me the alert. So anyway, I got that coming Wednesday. I got another key book coming Wednesday. So there'll be a couple of small hauls this week, but other than that, probably not too much. But that's all I got. So everybody want to say their goodbyes. We'll start with you, a DS.
Yeah, everybody do your homework. Great chat. Really good discussion, and look forward to next week.
And everybody should.
And do you want to tell everyone to
do something? Shouldn't they do something, DS?
They should do their homework.
There we go.
Yeah, I think I said
good answer. All right, what about you, Raj?
Yeah, everybody, great chat. Great topic. Although it's obviously this is stuff that it's one of those downer kind of things, but which I'm not crazy about. But I guess it's something that we should recognize at least because it's out there. Sort of like the elephant in the room, kind of thing. But great chat in here. These guys were on fire in the chat. The people telling us about what happened to their slabs and the errors and all kinds of different good information. So definitely check out this chat when you can. Everybody be blessed and be back.
Thank you, Roger. And I'll just tell everyone to thanks for being here. We'll catch you next week on BUB'S Comics, the No Faces Comic Chat. We're very excited. Check out Roger's channel. Check out DS's channel. He's criminally undersubbed. You will probably regret. You'll regret it, but then you'll grow to like it. So it's like
One good thing, I welcome any and all feedback, any types of thumbs. I don't care about the direction, and any comments. I welcome it all. Free for all on my channel. So.
We love it. So check him out. Check out Roger, and then check us out again next week. And remember to read a comic and don't apologize for the glare. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, and as the NPC or the PCU or what is he, DS?
The MCU?
What's that? The MCU. Right. The Master Computer, right?
Master Control Unit.
So what does he say? Do you remember his ending? What he says?
End of line.
End of line.
That's right.